Peace and namaste, everybody. Peace and namaste, everybody. Welcome to Not Church. I wasn't sure I was live there for a second. I'm Peter Panagore, MDiv, international best-selling author, channeling the ineffable light. I'm a two-time near-death experiencer, Kundalini awakened, Satori experienced ex-clergy person who came into life as a natural-born mystic. And I want to welcome everybody here today. Hi, everybody. Hi, Quiet Energy. I said hi to everybody else. I'm looking over at the list over there. Glad you're here. Thanks for spending your time with me live. Today, why does creation exist? Gospel of Thomas 12. You can join us for a mystical conversation about the subject and others, and a time of sharing at the top of the hour on Zoom at Mystic Tea Salon. Humility, compassion, and kindness are our guidelines. If Not Church feeds your spiritual growth, please subscribe and like. I'm not a believer and I'm not religious. Somebody asked that question recently to me. At my first death, all of my belief systems were erased, all of them. Instead, I know that I'm known by the knower with a capital K who is ineffable, unspeakable. I know where I'm from. I know to whom I belong. I know where I'm going. I know what I am. And I am unshakable. I want to thank Rose. Thank you, Rose, for inviting me to speak to a beautiful audience in Hartford, Maine last Friday night. Deepen your centering prayer and Kryia practice with us, free on Mondays and Wednesdays, live on YouTube, and on Tuesdays on Zoom. Visit peterpanagore.Love for details. That's enough of that stuff. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. Hey, Beth, Dan, Chris, Emily, and Lynn from all across the United States and over there in Europe as well, and way down in South Africa. Although it's not down for them, it is just on the surface of the planet. Buckminster Fuller, who you may or may not know, who owned an island off the island on which I lived in the Gulf of Maine, slow down, Peter, once said, "There is no up and down on Earth. There's only across the surface." I thought that was brilliant. Let's begin by briefly centering ourselves in. Last week, I didn't do it in the beginning, and I missed it, and you all missed it. So let's do that. Where many are gathered, the I am, capital I, capital A, who is I am, the I am who I am, increases the depth of our shared meditation and the radiant power of energy transference. That's what Not Church is actually here for. All this other languaging stuff and the explorations and the deconstructions of Christianity and the Bible and all those things, all of those are simply a vehicle to help us uh, decompress, to deconstruct our own imaginations, our own ideas. But the real message is the divine energy transference that you have inside yourself already. You are already complete. And if we quiet our minds and silence ourselves, just if it's only for a moment, and touch the emptiness, that's where enlightenment begins. So, if you're new, welcome. Please pick a sacred word, maybe peace, maybe love, maybe light, maybe whatever you want. Some prayer that you know, some lyric that you like, something that makes the divine your intent, and then ride it on your breath up and down from your third eye to the pit of your stomach just below your belly button. And then, whenever your mind wanders, and it will, mine does every time I start. Maybe I've not said that enough. Every time I start my meditation, it takes some time to bring it in. And sometimes it's harder. Some days my mind is so active, it takes more than a couple of breaths. It takes minutes to bring my mind under control. But it comes under control, and the plasticity of the mind learns to come under control the more you practice. So, whenever your mind wanders, just return to your word and your breath. That's all this is. It's super simple. Pick a sacred word, attach it to your breath, and ride it up and down. And when your mind wanders, bring it back. The goal is silencing thought. All thoughts. That's the goal. Because then the fearful self ceases to have control. and we get to sit inside the higher self that we already are. When we do this together, there's a radiant transference that can happen. It's up to us to empty ourselves and to reach up and be a receptor. So we start with 3 ohms. Let's begin. Don't forget to relax your face, okay? Oh, and if you want to improve your centering prayer practice and Kriya practice, join us for Mondays and Wednesdays. It's free, okay? Tuesdays too. Here we go. Centering prayer. Follow your breath and mind, focused on your prayer word. Why does creation exist? Pretty big question. Pretty big. Gospel of Thomas, saying 12, Logia 12. The disciples said to Jesus, "We know you're going to leave us, so who will be our leader?" Jesus replied, "The place that you will come to, turn to James the righteous, for whose sake heaven and earth have come into existence." We could finish right here. Why is there creation? Oh, it was for James. Okay, we're done. No. Part 1. They organized under new leadership. After Jesus left, James was elected as the first leader of the Council of the Disciples. They took his advice. They elected James. You can read all about it in the canonical Gospels and the extra canonical Gospels. Part 2. The word righteousness, when applied to God. What does it mean? The word righteousness, the transcendent quality or state of being, self derived or self originated, the absolute self sufficiency, independence, and autonomy of Creator. I'm going to repeat that. The transcendent quality or state of being self-described. Our false egoic minds self-describe, but they are not of transcendent quality. This being is self-derived. Self-derived. I may have stumbled on my lips and said self-described, but I really meant self-derived. Live. Here we are live. Okay. State of being self-derived. Originating self. Self-originated. Self-sufficiency. Absolute self-sufficiency. Independence. We think we're independent, but we're not. We think we're self-sufficient, but we're not. We did not create ourselves. We did not make ourselves. There is autonomy in the creator, and all of those words have capital letters to designate that they are metaphors of the divine. There is an autonomy of the creator. We have the illusion of autonomy, but the divine has autonomy with a capital A, the creator of all. When applied to humans, righteousness means the intrinsic quality of enlightenment awakened. It's an intrinsic quality of enlightenment that becomes awakened, and it's in relationship to the capital R righteousness, in relationship to the self derived and the self originated. That is our innermost nature that becomes awakened in mystical experience, in spiritually transformative experiences. You can wink awake a bit. The more shattered the self is in that experience, the more illumination there is. Eckhart Tolle gives this great description in the beginning of his audiobook, where he talks about his loss of self. This energy that comes from righteousness is experiential and transferable. So Jesus was saying to James, he was saying to everybody, he was saying James was enlightened. James got it, and not in a head knowledge, book learning, educated sort of way. Because those things, as beautiful as they are, which is what we're doing right here, right now, don't actually connect directly to the divine because they are also part of the process of the false self in the world. This is why I'm not a believer, because culture doesn't exist for me. It's all made up. That happened to me when I died. I've adapted and adopted an identity. Of course I have. I have to function in the world. I can't walk around in my Buddha nature all the time. And sometimes it's more prominent, like Eckhart Tolle says, and sometimes it recedes. But it's always here, and it is transferable. This righteousness of James, Jesus saw it in him, and all the disciples agreed. Our Buddha nature is our actual self. It's already here now. Enlightenment isn't something new, it's a remembrance of something you already are. Our righteousness, our higher self, is hidden from our view and only found by seeking inside. Seek and you will find. Seek and you will find, because it is who you are. Part 3. My personal interest is in the final phrase, the final phrase. James, for whose sake heaven and the universe have come into existence. James, for whose sake heaven and the universe has come into existence, all life, all objects, matter, energy, galaxies, stars, planets, and all things in the universe, they all came into being for James? Yes. I said that before. Yes is the answer to that. But the caveat for all of us individually also, I saw this in my near-death experience. I saw the golden light inside of 7 billion human beings. I saw their value. I saw our human life value, individuated and in a universal fashion, a cosmic fashion. When I died and I questioned about my family, my mom and my dad and my sister and all that, and I got swept across heaven and poked out and saw the universe and saw Earth and all humanity, I saw simultaneously the immensity of the multiple universes, unending, going back into infinity of love that created all of those things, not just you and me, but all that there is beyond our universe. with the same intensity of love, and like a funnel poured it right into me. And I became the most important being, where the universe was created for me. All of it was created for me. And simultaneously, I could see clearly the same is true right now for every one of you. The particularity of James is the particularity of me, is the particularity of you, in terms of the immensity of universal love funneled into your heart. Why was the universe created? It's created for you and for me and for all of us. We are the divine itself, experiencing life here. I've asked this question. Have you asked yourself why so many near death experiencers have life reviews, and how does the divine know everybody's story? They, the cosmic sentience of creation experiences our lives with us because it is us. This is why when you look inside, rather than distraction out here, which is a reflection of our false selves, we see what we think. But in the divine space of emptiness, we see not ourselves, and give us the opportunities to slip this skin, if only for a breath, and sometimes much more deeply, because it thins the veil and thins the veil, and it can happen in a flash of grace. And then one knows how much one is loved. Isn't that a taste of infinity? If you've had a mystical experience where you've tasted love from a deceased loved one or an angelic form, or somehow, somewhere, you had a moment of love, transcendence, or peace, or joy, or understanding, or all these things mixed together, or so much more, then you've tasted the particularity. You have tasted who you are. Who is the universe created for? It's created for you. Why does creation exist? For the divine self and us. We we are in the process of divinization, self-divinization. That's what we're talking about here. A reclamation of our divine nature. And one of the things that Tolle said that I was listening to this morning, he said, once this happened to me, I had everything. What more did I need? This is the conflict that I suffered for so many decades. He did a better job adjusting to it than I did. But here's the thing. When one attaches one's self to the divine, when one's self disappears in the process, then peace comes in the world. Yes, we still suffer. But this peace that is everlasting and flowing and connecting, that is all things, then you can see that the world is created for you. It's experiential. Not because it's mine, because I know to whom I belong. Because I am owned, created creature, child of the divine. So seek this innate golden firelight within yourselves. Aim your intent there heartfully. Aim your intent there, and you will find what you seek. And sometimes it takes great suffering to crack the false self open. You will find what you seek, which is what you already are, which is who you already are. Now, here's a pebble for your pocket, and hopefully not for the sole of your shoe. Heaven is already inside you. Heaven is created for you. You are a beloved child soul creation beyond even your human form, of the creator, of the self-sufficient, of the self-derived. Cling within to this. It is reality with a capital R. So let's center in again for a moment, a few breaths. We begin with the Om because it drives us in more quickly into the centered place. So 3 Oms and a little centering, please. Next Sunday, in case you want to read ahead, like Kristen did, Thomas 14. We already did Thomas 13. You can go back and look in the videos. You can see it there. Thomas 14 next Sunday live. It's one of the most challenging logias or sayings to understand. It's tentatively titled Cured. Thank you, all of you, for spending time with me and together with us in our community, our little community of mystics, of seekers. And thanks for your financial support. It makes a difference. Without you, I couldn't be here at Mystic Tea at the top of the hour or teaching meditation. I'd be doing something else for a living. That would be necessary. So thank you very, very much. If you're interested, you can talk to me in a private session. I'm at peterpanagore.Love. All of that information, including the spinning red heart that Kristen mentioned earlier, is at peterpanagore.Love. Private sessions, consultations, communications, considerations, counseling. So peterpanagore.Love. Any questions or comments? Please put them in the comments, or if you're live, put them in the questions under the chat. And so ask them in the chat is what I mean. Say it with 25 words if you can say it with 3, right? No. Say it in the chat or in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer all questions, as always. I'm looking at the bottom. Robert says, evidence of all physical prove that all is one. Thank you for you and all your work, Peter. You're welcome, Robert. Thanks for being here every week, and thanks for your understanding of the Gospel of Thomas as well. All right. Let's see. Any comments? Listening to Peter is like strenuous physical exercise. It makes me thirsty. You are a funny man, Michael. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Is it too much, Michael? Is it like, am I the bad trainer in the gym? Give me 10 more reps. 10 more, just 10 more reps. You can do it. Am I like that? I hope not. But I'm glad you're thirsty. I'm glad you're thirsty. Am I blushing? I should be. Good morning, Kelly. Hey, Colleen in New Hampshire. You love me some Eckhart Tolle. I have to confess, I'm a new Eckhart Tolle reader. I purposefully left him out of my reading for a long time because I didn't want to be unduly influenced before I was prepared with my own thinking. And so now's the time. Because I'm sure he's quite modern in his language. Can you hear that guy? That huge truck going by? I hope you can't, but ooh, he's a loud one. I'm here, but did not receive an email this morning. Oh my gosh, Aru. I double checked that, And so maybe I should have triple checked it. Thanks for telling me, though. Much appreciated. Vineyard worker, wink, wink, awaken a bit. I'm here. Oh, no, that's it. Love the mysterious eyebrows. Oh, I changed my lighting. And I kind of, oh, yeah, mystery. Hmm. I wonder how Peter became first pope then, if James was elected the first leader. All of that is in the history books. All of that is in the history books. He did become the first bishop of Rome. James was the first bishop of Jerusalem. And he was the first bishop because he's the first guy elected to the chair council, the council. So technically, Peter is not the first bishop. Technically, James is, but Peter became the bishop of Rome. That's why. But it's all in the history books. Hi, Peter. Hey, Reverend Robert Whitehouse. Hey, brother. Out. I'm out in the Maldives, and I will watching. You're in the Maldives? Just eating dinner. I have to catch up. Wow, nice. Rob from Wales, enjoy your time. Excellent. Got work this morning, but we'll watch later today. Thanks, Basilia. Wow, so many from all over the world. Religion is like the internet. So many sites to use. Always seek a real origin. Father and his son, mother will guide us. The divine is inside of all of us and expresses itself in all these different metaphors, but it can only be experienced and understood in the flash of understanding that comes in mystical experience. All the different types of mystical experiences give us all gifts. That's a hard word to say. Gifts. Gifts. Gives us gifts. See, I screwed it up again. Anyway, doesn't that's why there are so many religions. There's so many religions because there's so many cultures. There are so many interior experiences expressed through all these different languages and cultural groups. It's always this oneness of being. Call it Father, call it Mother, call it Son, call it Allah, call it the Benevolent, call it the Giver of Life, call it the All that is. None of the names are the name itself. Remember how we talked about that in Genesis? The Hovier, the unpronounceable breath. Anyway. Hey, from Colonial Capital. Hi, Helen. Purple is your favorite color. Oh, thanks. Thanks to my wife. Blessings from New England. Hey, Nancy. Hey, Sue from PA. You like the purple? Thanks for my wife. I like the purple too. It's time to break out the summer shirts. It's summer here in Maine. Finally, I even have shorts on. That's crazy. And windows open. David from Boulder. Good morning, Holly. All right, everybody. Good morning, Emily and Chris and Lynn. No need to drag this out unless you guys got questions or comments. The sooner we end, the shorter the video, the more likely it is to get watched. I see Peter everywhere. He's the NDE man. Love animals, hates rats. Um, I am an NDEer, and I do have a mission, and I am trying to fulfill my purpose. And we are going to talk a little bit about purpose in the coming weeks. That's true. Got to listen to this one again and again. I hope it was clear, Kristen, but I think it has layers. I hope parts of it. Anyway, I'm always okay. Okay, so I got a flaw. My flaw is obvious. Let's see. Good stuff. Love our community. Yes, thank you to the community for sure. Love our community. We are a gathering of global seekers and mystics. Hey, Charlie. Irish humor, Michael. It has its own flavor. 10 more reps coming up. But Charlie, I'd like you to do those martial arts knuckle push-ups that I see with the clap in between. 10 of those, Charlie. Kidding. I've never been able to do those. I'm afraid that when I die, I won't be loved and fear will shut me out. Somehow it will be self-evident. The overwhelming flood of love. Have you ever seen any of those horror films, those horror films where the people in New York are watching the tidal wave come and it's knocking down buildings and people are, getting tossed and cars are getting tossed? Okay, it's not negative like that. Okay, it's not getting tossed around. People aren't. You're already dead. So okay, you're already dead. But the wave of love itself is irresistible and powerful beyond human measure. Simply turn toward it now, again and again, even in your fear. You don't have to give up your fear. You don't have to give up your fear. It isn't a requirement. I wasn't saved before I died. Yes, I had been born again Christian, but I was quite a good backslider. I was not no Christian might have considered me, no evangelical Christian especially, I'm not so sure about the Catholic priests and the Orthodox either, would have considered me born again at the time when I died. The water of life that flows out from the throne of the divine. Remember, we talked about that in Revelation symbolism, is a flood that is overwhelming to everyone who merely hears the roar of it. Just turn to look and don't resist. Your fear won't keep you out. It may cause you struggles in life, but it won't keep you out. It won't. I feel I am made in mediocrity because I am not extraordinary, but you are extraordinary. There is this radical equality of humanity. There's only two scales here. There's all of creation of which humanity is part, and then there's Creator. Two. We see it this way on Earth. So many stacks of levels of society and well-being and enlightenment. Oh, look at that person, so enlightened. Look at that one, that poor slob, so blind. From there to here is infinity. So from infinity's view, there is equality here. An equality of our created nature. And because our created nature is panentheistic, the divine is inside of us. That is all you are and all you need. It's always there. And if in life one practices turning toward love or light or kindness or compassion or charity or self or service, but always protecting oneself, don't be a doormat. Don't let people control you or run you over. You can be strong in this and still be selfless. You can be humble to the divine and still be a warrior in life. They're not mutually exclusive. Protect yourself. Submit yourself to the divine. That's what meditative prayer is. That's why I practice it. That's why I recommend it. Do what you will. But if you discover that in the practice of breath and the practice of mind and the turning toward your suffering, crack, smack open, light flows through. You become the water jug with the big crack in it, watering the flowers at the feet, the flower of you. And I'm not going to push that metaphor very far because it doesn't sound like it's going to work. Fear is part of the chafe. Yeah, for sure, Jeff. It'll burn away with the outer human condition. Fear is part of the chafe. That's right. Exactly so. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jim, who agrees. Exactly so. Thank you, Peter. I haven't been here in a while. Welcome back, JD. I remember you, JD. Glad you're back. You're struggling with depression. It's a hard thing, depression, for sure. I hope this helps. I know meditation helps me. I know exercise helps me. We want to talk. If you want to talk, take a look at peterpanagore.Love, and maybe we can have a private session and talk it through a little bit. Maybe I can help. Remember Jesus washing the feet of Peter. Humble nature is old. Ego must be removed, says Robert. Need to hear that, says Amy. Jeff, I hope so. JD, for sure. Jeff's right. My NDE. That's what happened to me. The second time I died, I was fearless. I went through hell, and I have craved death ever since. What does that tell you? I am unafraid. I expect to go back through with a flaming sword again. It's a cleansing sword to burn the chaff off my wheat and polish me. LOL, I love it, Peter Eden Project. Thank you very much. Who we are created here is not the truth. We are love, our real creation, says Sue. This is true. There's a problem with the G key on your computer. Bummer. Maybe it's stuck. Get a vac, maybe. Sometimes I have to turn my keyboard upside down and give it some taps and run the vacuum on it. Sometimes something gets stuck underneath the key. Sometimes you can, depends on the keyboard, you can pop it off, but you can break it that way. JD, dealing with the same for 40 years. This is an error of a lot of it going around, says Freetness. Is there a video where you share more of your second NDE? That's a good question, Amy. I'm sure there is. I know I've talked about it in a whole bunch of interviews, but I haven't given a specific interview on it. Maybe I should make a video or get interviewed. Next time I get interviewed, I should talk about that in particular. I haven't talked about that very much. I've kind of woven it in here and there. Maybe one of these Sundays I'll talk about it. Let me know if you think that's a good idea or not. Idea. There's my Boston accent coming out. So I think it's time to say farewell for now. I'll see you at the top of the hour at 11 o'clock. Mystic Tea Salon. Link is below. It's also a Maine accent, huh, Tiffany? I will see you at the top of the hour, my dears. So I have a good idea, but when I say dia, I take the R off it. Okay, I'll see you all later. Peace and love. Namaste. I would love to talk to me about it. Well, Project Eden, get in touch with me. I'd love to talk to you about it. All right. Peace and love. I'll see you at the top of the hour, everybody. Thanks for being here. Namaste.